In this video, I'm going to show you how to upload a book to the Amazon KDP platform. So if you're a complete beginner, I'm going to walk you through the steps you need to take and hopefully make the whole process a lot less daunting than it initially looks. And if you've done this before, if you've published books before, I'm going to give you some of my shortcuts and tips and tricks to hopefully speed up the process and give your book a better chance of being accepted. Now, if you've not been to the channel before, then welcome. My name is Paul Miles and I do videos on how to make it, keep it and grow it. And that's your money I'm talking about. And if you do like videos like that, then please do give it a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button and smash that notification bell to receive notification of when I produce more videos like this. So I'm going to walk you through the whole process that I do to upload my books to Amazon. Now, the example I'm going to show you today is a low content book, but what I tell you applies equally well to self-published fiction and non-fiction books. The same principles apply. Now, in the timeline of this video, there's going to be different chapters, so you can skip through to chapters that interest you more, or you can skip back. You know, if you've watched the video, you can refer back to different sections as you go along uploading your book. What I'm also going to do is, in the description, give links to relevant videos that I've done that pertain to particular aspects of the upload process. So this video is going to be sort of a kind of one-stop shop, if you like, to uploading, with a list of different videos that will also help you along the way and help you understand the process a bit better. Now, I've done a similar video to this in the past, probably it was around about a year ago. So this is more of an updated, upgraded version that hopefully will be a bit more comprehensive. So, first of all, when you create your book, you've got to decide on what type of book you're going to create. And after you've done that, you need to create the cover and you need the interior. Now, the book I'm creating today is this simple mileage logbook, and I've created the cover here in Affinity Designer. Now, I have done a video on how you can create a cover for free on Canva. I'll link to that in the description below. So what I've done is I've saved this as a PDF file, because we're going to need the PDF file to upload to the KDP platform. Now, in terms of interiors, you also need to have that as a PDF file as well. Now, if you want to produce some notebooks or journals, some simple lined notebooks or journals, well, I've got a file in my Gumroad shop. Again, I'll leave a link to that down below. And it's this lined paper file here, which you can just click on, and in this box here, name a fair price, or you can put in 0 and just click on add to cart, go to checkout, get, view content, and download the interior file. And that's ready to go. It's 120 pages. You can upload that directly to the KDP platform, as I'll show you in a moment. And yeah, literally that's all you need to create your first notebook or lined journal. So let's go to the KDP platform. So when you log in, you've got this first page here, and there's a number of boxes that we need to fill out. So I'm going to go through this step by step. So first of all, we've got our book title and subtitle. Now, in order to streamline this, what I do is create a spreadsheet. And I've created a spreadsheet like this, and I've listed all my books on a spreadsheet just like this, which is a permanent record of all the books I've created. And we've got 9 columns here: title, subtitle, author, description, interior file, cover file, price, niche, and keywords. And so after I've created my cover and got my interior, I fill out these boxes here according to the type of notebook I'm going to create. Now, for the title, I normally choose a keyword related title, but it does depend on the type of book you're creating. If you want a video on how I use keywords in the title and in the subtitle, again, I'll leave a link to a video in the description down below. So I fill in these boxes here. I put in the author name. Today I've just made one up called Utility Publishing, and then I write the description. And you can see here the description has HTML code in there, because I like to put the title of the book in bold quite often, and there are some listed elements that produce a bulleted list in the description on Amazon when someone looks at the book. Then I link the name here. Well, I don't link it. I put in the name of the file for my interior, and the name of the file for the cover. Now, this is important because when you're creating your books, you might end up creating quite a number of books, some of them selling very well. And these books are your asset of your business. They're all the assets. They're what makes up your business. They're what creates the value in your business. So it's useful when you list all your books to have the names of your interior and cover files there so that you can refer to them later should you want to make changes. But also, if you do create a successful business, you might want to pass it on, sell it on to someone else. So it's useful to know when you do that, you can pass on this spreadsheet file with all the files for the covers and interiors, again, which is what makes up the value of your business. I also record the price of the book and the niche that the book's in this case, mileage logbook, and I put in the keywords here, which we'll cover in a moment. These are going to go into the 7 keyword boxes. Now, the reason I do this is because now it can speed up the process, because all I need to do is just Command-C, copy the title, and we go to our first page in the KDP publishing platform. Now, ignore this list helper bit here. That probably won't appear in your platform unless you've purchased Tangent Templates, which has a useful list helper, again, which can speed up the process, but you don't need it, okay? So we go to our book title bit and paste it in there. And then we go to the subtitle section. Again, I've linked to a video down below in the description, which tells you how I create my subtitle using my secondary keywords. So I just copy that and go to the subtitles section of the book title box and just paste it in there. Series you can ignore unless you are actually creating a series of books. Now, this won't really pertain to the no content and low content books. This would be more applicable if you're maybe doing a series of fiction books that are all related, or even non-fiction books that again are related. So it could be children's illustrated books. But normally, I've not used this, normally for no content, low content books, this wouldn't really apply. Same goes for edition number. Again, unless you're creating further editions of the same book, you wouldn't really tick this box. If you are, you would just put in the edition number there. So you've created your book and now you're going to create a second edition, you would put number 2 in there. Now, when it comes to author names, now this is important because this is one of the common reasons that when people try and upload their book to Amazon, it looks like it's under review, then quickly it goes back into draft. Now, often they'll send you an email that will mention about something to do with author names. And the biggest problem that most people face is because they use keyword author names. So for instance, a keyword author name in this might be something like mileage log notebooks. So people would use that as an author name. Well, it's against the Amazon's terms of services and they're getting really hot on this. So when it comes up for a manual review, they probably have automated reviews that just pick up certain words in the author name like notebook, journal, that type of thing, and it will just come back rejected. The book won't be under review, it will just go straight into draft. So my advice is pick a pen name, or you can use your own name. All my books are published under a pen name, which I advise. Particularly if you're interested in building a brand, you might want to use your brand name as your author name. For this, we're going to be using the name Utility Publishing. So I would just write that in there. Utility as the first name. Ignore the middle name unless there's 3 words in your author name, and the last name would be publishing. Okay, now when it comes to contributors, I normally ignore that. If you've created this book along with someone else, you could put their name as a contributor, or it might be another brand name. You could put that there. For all my books, I ignore that. Then we come to the description. So again, I've written out the description here. So I'll just highlight all of that. Command-C, Control-C to copy, go to the platform and just paste. Now, you're probably interested in this HTML code. So what I'm going to do is just upload this template with this first line all filled out, so you know what type of things to fill out under the different columns. And I will upload that to the Gumroad shop. And again, it's free, so you can go there download it for nothing, and then you can just copy and paste that into a spreadsheet. I'm using Google Spreadsheets here. You could use an Excel spreadsheet or whatever comes along with Mac or something like that. And you can change that accordingly. It will be interesting to see if somebody or some people use these exact titles, subtitles and descriptions that I've put in here. I did a video towards the end of last year where I created a book, and it was just an example book similar to one I've created today, and there was about 6 identical books published after I produced this video. People that have published those have completely wasted their time because they won't make sales. So that's just a little side note. So we come down to publishing rights, and you just tick on this little button here that says I own the copyright and hold the necessary publishing rights. Now, if you are using public domain work such as PLR writing, which I don't recommend you do. Amazon doesn't really like it because lots of other people can publish the same books with that content. You can run into duplicate content issues, and they used to sell all right on Amazon years ago, but now I think that particular market has become oversaturated. Amazon will often pull you up on duplicate content. So I don't advise doing that. And if you do, again, it's very rare to make decent sales. That's just my opinion. Take that for what it is. Now, we come to keywords and the 7 keyword boxes, which often excites people quite a lot. So I did a video exactly on how I do my 7 keywords boxes and how I fill them in. Again, link to the description down below. Because there's mainly 2 ways you can fill in these boxes. One is with keyword phrases or individual keywords. Now, I personally use individual keywords, but I suggest watching that video that I've linked to for a full explanation on exactly how I do it and why I use individual keywords. And it's worked for me, but I'm sure, you know, for some people, if they've used keyword phrases, it's worked for them equally as well. Now, you'll notice on the spreadsheet towards the end here, we've got our keywords, and I've just made a list of all the individual keywords that I'm going to put in these boxes. Now, I wouldn't copy and paste that because it won't come out right. So I'd just go through these individual boxes and put in those keywords. So I put in notebook, notepad, go to the next box. Now, there is a limit to the number of individual words you can put in each box. So when it comes towards the end of the box, Amazon won't let you fill in anymore. So in these next boxes, I will just put in the other words that I've got there in my keywords. I won't put every single keyword in because it would bore you to death. And we'll just fill in those keyword boxes accordingly. Now, we come to the next section, choose categories. Again, this is another one that gets people excited and worried, trying to pick the exact category, or the book they want to list in is not listed there. You know, what should you do? To be honest, I haven't really worried too much about categories for a lot of my books. Now, where categories become important is that you can list your book in a relevant but less competitive category, and hopefully if you make good sales, you can get your book listed at number 1 in that category, and you get that lovely orange best sellers badge on Amazon. Now, again, I've done 2 videos, one on choosing categories and the other one on how to get that best sellers badge, that nice orange best sellers badge, or give you a better chance of getting that orange best sellers badge. Again, link to those 2 videos in the description below. But don't get overly concerned with it. And what I normally do is I just, for low content books, no content books, mostly it's going to be in the non-fiction section, and I just work through these manually. I've got no secret sauce on how to do it, and I just pick a category that seems most relevant. Now, for a lot of journals or notebooks, you won't find something exact, but just find something that's close to it, and don't worry about it too much. Now, if you are trying to get your book with that orange bestsellers badge, you'd need to look at all those categories, have a look at them on Amazon, look at the bestsellers ranks, see which is the least competitive to get your book there at number 1. Again, watch the video in the description below for a full explanation on that, because there's a few little nuances to it, but it is relatively simple. But again, to get that badge, you do need to make sales in order to get a low bestsellers rank. So it's not overly straightforward. If you're just starting out, honestly, just go through here and pick what you think are the 2 closest categories to your book. I guarantee you probably won't find something exact. Like for mileage logbook, I won't find something exact, but I could go through and find, let's have a look. Here we go, transportation. So we might pick general, and we might pick, if we look down, we can expand the list, automotive, and put in maybe, I don't know, general there again, or maybe trucks, if the mileage logbook is related to trucks. Now you can only pick 2. If you want more than 2, because you'll notice some books that are listed on Amazon are in more than one category, then you would have to email KDP support and tell them which categories you want your book listed in, and they usually oblige quite nicely. So click on save. Now, adult content. Now, unless you are producing adult content books, I would click no. Then we go on to the next page. So, ISBN number. Now, you can either purchase your own ISBN numbers. I don't know how much it is. Remember a little while ago, it was somewhere in the region of like $100 for 14 ISBN numbers. I might be completely off on that. Personally, I don't pay a single penny because I just click on this button here where Amazon or KDP will give you an ISBN number and it's free of charge. Why not take advantage of it? I can't see any advantage of using your own ISBN number. I'm sure some people might know and will certainly tell me in the comments below, but certainly I think for most publishers, just use a free option. Publication date, I leave this blank. If it's a further or I suppose an updated publication of the book, then you could put in here the date that it was first ever published. But for most books, and for most of you out there, you would just leave this blank. And it says leave it blank if it's you're publishing this book for the first time. Now we come on to the print options. So you've got cream paper, white paper, or color interior. Now for all my books, I choose this option here, which is the white paper. I suppose some types of books you might prefer to have the cream paper. Might be something, you know, a book you've published that you might want a bit more, you know, a decorative interior. For the color interior, the issue is with most no content, low content books, you're going to be selling them for around the $6.99 margin. You haven't got much to play with in terms of profit margin, and publishing a color interior will cost you more, so will eat away quite markedly at that profit margin, and you may actually have to publish at a higher price, which then may price you out of the market. So for most no content, low content books, I'd stick to the black and white interior. If you are publishing a book that has color in there, or you really want color, then you click on this premium color interior. This may apply more if you're doing things like illustrated books, children's illustrated books, for example. Then you've got the trim size, and you can click on this box. I've got here 6 by 9 inches. If you want a different size, you can select a different size, and it will give you the options here of the common sizes. Most books I publish are 6 by 9 inches or 8.5 by 11 inches, but it does give you these other options here. Or you can have a custom trim size, so you'd have to put in the width in inches here and the height in inches, and then click on select. But for this, we're going for the plain old 6 by 9 inches, which is a very common size for most small books and small no content, low content books. Then we come on to the bleed settings. Now this is going to depend on the type of interior you've got. Again, I'm going to leave a link in the description below which explains bleed and explains no bleeds and explains margin sizes. Again, it's quite simple, but initially quite complex to understand. It does sound more complex than it actually is. Now for this lined interior, the lines go right to the edge of the page, so we want to select bleed. So we're going to click on this option here. Then we come on to the next box, the cover finish. So we've got the choice here of matte or glossy. The choice is exactly yours. I know some people say certain colors like black look better glossy. Personally, I've published glossy books and matte books. Doesn't seem to make a difference in terms of sales or feedback I get or reviews. However, when I've bought some of my own books for my own personal use, I personally prefer the matte finish. It seems to have a nicer quality finish, but that's a pure personal preference and up to you. If you are unsure what they like, then maybe yes, you could buy your own books and to see what the cover is like. So for this, I'm going to choose matte, even though the cover is black, and I just said that a lot of people prefer black and glossy. Now, when it comes to the manuscript, this is the interior of your book. Now, as I said, I've downloaded that file from the Gumroad shop, and all we need to do is click on upload paperback manuscript and go to where you've downloaded the file, which I'll just double click on, and that'll upload to the KDP platform. Just a small note, you'll notice I've called the file 6.9.120. Now I got this from Kelly Publish. I think she's changed the name of her channel now, who did a course on publishing books. And I use this because it tells you 6.9, it's a 6x9 inch book, and 120, it's a 120 page file. So when I'm looking through files, you know, I've got a folder with lots and lots of files, I can see straight away what size it is. And so that's just a small little tip there that helps later on down the line if you've got a folder full of interior and full of cover files. So here you can see we've uploaded our interior file here. Now we've got book cover, and we've got two options. We've got to use Cover Creator. This is KDP's own Cover Creator program, where you can create your own covers within KDP to upload. I've never actually used that. I think some of the options are quite limited, but if you're starting out, maybe worth exploring. So I'm going to click on this other option, which is upload a cover I've already made. And now you'll notice there's this little checkbox here where you check if your upload includes a barcode. Well, we're not going to do that because we're letting Amazon choose our own ISBN number, and they're going to put it on the cover themselves. So we'll leave that blank. So I'm just going to upload our cover file. Again, we've got our mileage logbook cover PDF file, which I'm going to double click on and just wait for that to upload. Then once those two have uploaded, you'll notice the launch previewer button goes yellow. So we click on that. Now this can sometimes take a little bit of time. I don't know if it depends on how busy KDP is, how many people are uploading their books. So I won't let you wait. I'll jump straight to where the preview is uploaded. So here you can see we have this initial page. Now I did something on purpose here in that I created a cover of the wrong size by mistake, which you might find yourself doing. And you can see straight away it comes up when it appears here in the previewer, and you can see that it doesn't look right. We've got mileage logbook all off the page, so it won't tell you there's an error there, but obviously you can see there's an error there. Now this box here on the left hand side is the most important box, because if there's any issues with the cover or the interior, then it will mention here what the problems are. Now this previewer said it didn't find any issues. I mean, this here, what I've done, wouldn't actually come up as an issue on the cover anyway. But one of the common things that might come up is if the words that you've got on the spine of the book are overlapping this red dotted border. Again, it will tell you there. So what we can do now is click on the arrows here and have a look at the interior of the book. And you can see we've got our lined interior here. Now, again, one of the most common issues is around the issue of bleed or no bleed, and it's around the issue of not choosing the correct option. So this interior here, because the content goes from the edge of the page to the edge of the page, the option should be bleed, but if you clicked no bleed, then it would come up as an error, and there's usually a little red warning triangle, and again in this left hand side box here it'll tell you what the issue is. So you can flick through if you want and go through all the pages just to check that they all look okay. Now, notwithstanding the error I've made in the cover, I'm going to pretend it's okay. So I'm going to click approve. So next, what we want to do is click on save and continue. Before we do that, just a quick note, Amazon or KDP will tell you here what the printing cost is on Amazon of your book. So click on save and continue. Now the next box is territories. I normally just tick all territories here, and this is the territories for which you hold distribution rights. Now, I suppose if you didn't hold distribution rights for all areas, you would want to click on this box and then choose which countries you do have distribution rights to. For all my books, I just click on all territories. Then we come to pricing. Now, the primary marketplace you want, and I suggest, is Amazon.com, because that's the biggest marketplace. And if you're wanting to make sales and make money, that's the marketplace you really want to be making sales. So use primary marketplace as Amazon.com and put in the list price. Now, you can choose any price you like here. I'm choosing $6.99. That's one of the most common prices for both no content and low content books. If you're wondering what price to set for your book, well, what you can do is look at those other books that are selling well in your niche and have a look at what price they're selling at. It goes also, the same goes for if you're trying to decide on how many pages you want to do in a book, particularly for things like colouring books or puzzle books, which are not the standard 120 pages. Again, look at listings on Amazon that are selling well in your niche and look at how many pages those books have and choose a similar number of pages. So same goes for price. Now, when it comes to expanded distribution, here we've got the option to tick this box here. You may find, depending on the type of book you've produced, the size of the book, that this isn't an option. So if it's not an option, don't worry about it. There's nothing you can do about it. Now, frankly, the amount I make from expanded distribution sales, and these can be sales in physical bookshops, is very small compared to how much or how many sales I make on Amazon. So if that's not available as an option, then don't worry about it, unless you think your book's going to be making loads and loads and loads and loads of sales. But if it's not an option, again, there's nothing you can do about it. So just leave it, don't worry about it, move on. And then we've got our other marketplaces. So here we've got Amazon.co.uk, Germany, France, Spain, Italy, Japan, and Canada. These are the options that Amazon gives you. And it will set a price automatically based on the price you've set on Amazon.com. But you can change the price. So you may go, well, in the UK, I actually want to sell this for £5.27. So you can change the price there yourself. So what I normally do is I just leave that as the price that Amazon sets based on the price that I set for Amazon.com. That's all there is to this page. The next stage is to click publish your paperback book. Now, I'm not actually going to click that because I don't want to publish this book because it's got an error on the cover. And also, as some of you astute observers out there who will probably let me know in the comments, the interior wasn't actually a logbook interior. It was just a plain lined interior, but I was using that just as an example and an example of a simple interior that you can go and download yourself from the Gumroad shop, which you can use to create your own books right now, today. And, you know, the whole process doesn't take long. It takes, 20, 25 minutes. If you're starting out, once you get used to this, you can really whiz through the process. Now, once you click publish, how long will it take your book to appear on Amazon? Well, at the moment, for books that I've published, it seems to be about 3 or 4 days. When I first started out, books were published in around about 12 hours. Sometimes, if Amazon are overloaded, it could be near to Christmas, or there could be some issues with their print-on-demand services, or if there's severe weather in the US, then this process can take longer and can sometimes be up to 7 to 10 days. So if after a couple of days your book's not published, there's very little point in messaging me to see what the problem is, or even messaging KDP to see what the problem is, because your book will be published when it's published. Maybe if it's not published after 2 or 3 weeks, it might be worthwhile sending them an email, but otherwise just leave it. There's nothing to stop you from now going on to your next book and publishing that. You don't have to wait for one book to be published to then go on to publish your next book. You can have quite a few books in the pipeline or waiting to be published and under review. So you can see the process is pretty straightforward, and there's lots of useful links in the description below relevant to each of those different sections. Now, if you want a simple way of creating a cover for free on Canva, then click this video next, where I run through how to create a simple cover. Thank you very much for your time. If you do have any further questions, let me know in the comments below. And until next time, goodbye.